philosophical depth, amazing supporting cast, vivid abstract beauty, delusions, views and internal conflicts, imaginative animation, stellar writing and great music to back. Tatami Galaxy is the greatest anime of all time. The battle of wits rendered in such abstract, nuanced detail that it's pointless to describe, so much easier to show. To me, Tatami Galaxy is no ordinary anime. It carries none of the qualities of a great work of animation. The visuals are too abstract for the liking of many. The protagonist speaks at a faster rate than the speed of light.
羽貫さんは歯科衛生士であり、職場で起こった出来事を歯の知識を織り交ぜながら感情豊かに話すので、サークル内のデンタル IQ は跳ね上がっていった。
And there is no clean resolution to the story, only future possibilities and unanswered questions. But I think that all these features that make Tatami Galaxy inaccessible define its genius. You see, Tatami Galaxy is the greatest anime of all time, and I'm here to explain why. Let's start with the story. Reviews usually start with a step-by-step analysis of each individual aspect of a story, from the plot to the characters to the structure to the animation, so on and so forth. But it doesn't make any sense there. I'm not going to do that. Splitting the body of work in Tatami Galaxy into different parts and studying each one separately is just about as logical as studying the human body starting with the toenail. I'll explain why. Let's start with the story, just to prove my point. Tatami Galaxy starts off pretty low-key. The first episode follows a college student as his rose-coloured version of university life begins to fall apart. His attempts to make friends or find love collapse in his face, and he is left embittered by his experience and jealous of others, causing him to form an anti-Cupid squad with the mysterious demon-like Ozu. Now I'm sure at this point you're thinking it sounds like a pretty ordinary plot. It could follow into a shonen about grumpy incels who find solace in an unexpectedly beautiful beacon of humanity who happens to be a hot woman who's unusually nice to them. But no, that's not Tatami Galaxy. The subversion of this formula is where Tatami Galaxy's genius really shines. Our unnamed protagonist already has a love interest, a girl named Akashi, and his embittered actions against society and failure to act are what leads to his isolation and loneliness, not society itself. This message is really hammered home by the episodic structure. Now, I won't spoil the series, but in every episode, the unnamed protagonist relives his university life over and over again, making different decisions with the same delusional mentality. One episode, he commits himself to the tennis club. Another, a mysterious cult. Another, cycling. For me, this is where the philosophical genius of the show comes in. By creating a clear disconnect between the reality of the protagonist and the reality of the viewer, it seeks to answer the question, to what extent does our mentality shape our reality and not the other way around? And this is brought home by the most fundamental decision of the show, not to name the protagonist. This is a decision that forces the audience to reflect on their actions as much as that of the protagonist. He almost becomes a reflection of us. And I could say this philosophical depth is the reason why Tatami Galaxy changed my life. And I wouldn't be lying, but as of the perspective of the main character, it only represents part of the truth. Remember when I said it's pointless to separately analyze the various parts of Tatami Galaxy? Well, here's why. The art is really what sells the central message of the show and forces us to connect so personally with the travails of the protagonist and amazing supporting cast. It's rendered in such vivid, abstract beauty that raw emotion is presented from our internal perspective, not simply by non-verbal or verbal depictions. To fully explain what I mean, I have to introduce Mr. Johnny. You see, Mr. Johnny isn't a character, but a penis. A phallic manifestation of the horniness and isolation of the main character. You see, in one episode, he arrives in the middle of a dilemma. Our unnamed protagonist had gotten a drinking session with an attractive local dentist, who also has a boyfriend. As she reaches peak drunkenness when he takes her home, madness ensues. You see, in his drunken mind, he thinks this could be it. But he's also contending with the prideful, conservative, and fearful character that he has shown throughout all the episodes so far. And so an internal conflict emerges. And in this conflict is where Johnny first appears. Johnny, the physical manifestation of male horniness, appears with a strong cavalier attitude, attempting to convince the protagonist of his duty, while his prideful mind does the opposite. What follows is a battle of wits rendered in such abstract, nuanced detail that it's pointless to describe, so much easier to show.
今こそ好機じゃねえか。開けろ。
ダメだ。
いいから開けろ。
ダメだ。
結構あるんか。
一時の欲望に押し流されて文明人と言えるか。女性が酒でふわふわしているのに乗じて誇りが保てるか。
開けて。
思いがけずこのような状況になってしまったが、私は今一度努めて冷静に考えてみた。羽木さんか香織さんか恵子さんか。
迷うことなんてねえだろ。
その時私はあることに思い至った。羽木さんの好きな相手というのは実は私のことではないか。
あなた言ってたじゃないですか。
身を焦がすほど好きでもない相手と、寂しいがゆえに欲求から相手を求めるなど言語道断。
なんてだ。
私はそれを憎んできた。
新しい世界が開けるぜ。向こうを見てみたいとは思わないのか。
見てはみたいが今はまだその時ではない。
今が後期でなくていつが後期なんだ。
後期なればこそ彼女がシラフに戻るのを待ってから正当な手段で合併交渉を再開すべきであろ
う。お願いだ。俺は今までずっとフグを囲ってきたんだ。もう飽きるほど我慢してきたんだよ。
ジョニー、ダメなんだ。男女の仲というものはそんな簡単に結ばれちゃダメなんだ。
分かった分かったよ。ほらヘキサ、今さらちょっとくらい街が増えたってどうってことねえよ。
ジョニー、分かってくれたか。どのくらい時間が経ったことだろう。気がつくと私は眠っていたようである。
So now you've seen the big or small man, we don't judge here. You might be wondering, why am I highlighting Johnny so much? What depth lies beyond the foreskin? Well, none. The magic of this scene is in its ability to represent a very human, relatable scenario with a full breadth of emotion we as men actually feel. You see, the characters in action is completely dictated by a grand emotional tussle, only in his reality. And by sticking to this internal dialogue without an understanding and a self-awareness of the reality of the world itself, almost represents how we think. We all listen to our internal dialogue. We all have protagonist syndrome. We all have delusions, views, and internal conflicts that come with this protagonist syndrome. And Tatami Galaxy thematically represents this at its raw, abstract, and visceral level better than anything I've seen before, standing out as a key exemplifier of imaginative animation, stellar writing, and great music to back. And without the combination of the three, neither worked individually. And so if I have to leave you with one takeaway from this video, it would be to watch Tatami Galaxy and absorb the tragic comedy of human nature it colourfully represents.